Hello, everyone, and welcome to PROCEPTION Livestream. I'm Robert Wolf, Hackster Pro, founder and core member of the devEco community, and your host for the next hour. We're going to kick this off with a big thank you to everyone who's joining us today, whether you're watching live or catching the replay. It's great for you all to tune in. Today's live stream is brought to you by Hackster.io and the folks over at Avnet, and we're going to be shining a spotlight on the Autodesk Fusion and Avnet App. So it's going to be a fun one. We've got an incredible session lined up for you. I get to chat with Michael Welling, one of my dearest friends in the industry, esteemed hardware engineer and core member of the devEco community as well. He's also a Hackster Pro, believe it or not, which is why we have the Hackster Pro logo overlay here today. We'll dive deep into basically kind of the intersection of design and supply chains, right? So like get a hands-on look at Autodesk Fusion and of course the Avnet App plugin. We'll explore how Avnet's latest tool is transforming engineering workflows. We'll streamline BOM optimization, ideally. We'll look at pricing data. We'll see how Fusion products or projects can help you get your job done, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun. Grab your coffee, get comfortable, get ready to share your perception with us. If you have questions, drop them in the chat. I'm watching Mike in the green room down here. You all can't see him. I see him smile every now and then. Get your questions, drop them in the chat, and we'll get to them as soon as possible. If you enjoy this, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to devEco, and we'll be putting more content out like this. Mike, I'm going to bring you in just a moment. I want to do a quick recap, if you don't mind, of what we had going on last session. I got to find where I put that list. I think it's right here. Where did I put that? Let me find my notes. Oh my goodness, where'd it go? Okay. So excuse me real quick here, and they are right here. All right. So last month we met with Kwabena Aguiman, and Kwabena is like also another really cool dude. He was talking to us about OpenMV. OpenMV is basically a camera or a set of cameras now at this point. He launched a Kickstarter which raised basically $140,000 or something like that. It was crazy. Like I was really proud of the guy. $140,000 raised. And it was for his new N6 and AE3 cameras. So I'm going to share the link here with y'all real quick so you can check that out. Not right now, but it was a great live stream. Had really a lot of fun with him. Yeah, I see Heavy Falcons talking about the Hack Pack turret in the background. Maybe we can launch some of those rockets in a bit. So that right there is the link to last month's PROCEPTION live stream with Kwabena Aguiman, CEO of OpenMV. We had a lot of fun, like I said, and I definitely look forward to talking with him more. Now, another thing I want to kind of like talk about here, and I'm going to bring Mike on for this now. So Mike, welcome to the stage here. Michael Welling, what's up?
Hello, everyone.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Just taking a little break from work to come out here and have some fun with you guys. Try this.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mike, I know you very well, and I have some really fun little icebreaker things we're gonna do in a second. But sure. For anyone out there watching who doesn't know you, maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, sure. So my name's Michael Welling. I'm a hybrid engineer, so I've been doing hardware and firmware, software design for a long time. I have a degree in electrical engineering, master's degree, almost PhD. I dropped out of my PhD maybe too many years into it, but I do have all but dissertation there. Not that that means anything. So I was working as when I met Robert, I was working as an engineer at EMAC Incorporated, which is a small single board computer manufacturer here in Illinois. Not too shortly after that, or maybe at around the same time, I started my own consultancy called Cordy Embedded, and I was primarily contracting for my old employer, doing printed circuit board design and Linux kernel development low-level firmware like U-boot, Zephyr, FreeRTOS, anything you can imagine in the firmware domain. I've kind of had my hands on it, but it's usually low level. So when I started out doing the kind of the consulting thing, I wanted a way to show off my expertise. So I made some open hardware projects and brought them out with me to the conferences to kind of plug different services that I provide. So a lot of times I was going to embedded Linux conferences or things like that, but it was, so there a lot of the times they tied in with single board ecosystems. And so like the first thing I made was a robotics mezzanine.
Yeah, Mike, that was when we met. That was at the Embedded Linux Foundation, or the Embedded Linux Conference, ELC, in San Diego. I think it was 2016. And this is not the RoboMezzi. This was from our open hardware mezzanine community. But the RoboMezzi, you don't have one on hand, do you?
I couldn't find it in my boxes. I have so much. I have a lot of stuff in the boxes. But RoboMezzi was just a servo controller / IMU / analog input mezzanine that plugged onto the top of the 96 board spec, was tested with the Dragon Board 410C, and I was able to drive servos around with it, apply external voltage, and it worked. It could have been better, and we were going to do a rev, but then it never really materialized. And then, lots of years went by, and 96 boards kind of is history now, but we can still use that. It's all open hardware. And I worked on a lot of different open hardware projects, actually, and it's hard for me to remember which one came first or the order or any of that anymore, because there's been so many of them. But like the big ones, I did work with BeagleBoard.org and did help with the design of the Pocket Beagle. There was originally called Pocket Phone, and I made a revision of that in KiCad, and it worked. And we made a nice video for Octavo Systems, and I showed it off at Lenaro Connect.
I remember that. You also showed it off, I think, at the Hackaday Super Conference. I think you brought it there as well. I saw you there.
I was out at the conferences to kind of get out there, and make sure that people knew my services were available. I had contracts, but I wanted to get, I wanted to make sure that I was not limiting myself. And
what about the mezzanine community, Mike? You're not going to mention the mezzanine community? Come on, man.
The mezzanine community was a 96 boards initiative to design a bunch of open hardware projects around the 96 board spec, mostly the CE spec. And I worked with a bunch of people on that, including A13 and a bunch of people from Brazil.
Yeah, there was quite a few. Look, we had a bunch of boards. Are you able to see my screen, Mike?
Gustavo, yes, I remember. Yes, I can.
Yeah, look, we had I think we ended up making there's 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure if all of these Eagle. Did Eagle have any? Eagle didn't get any designs in there.
Yeah, well, Eagle.
I2S mezzanine.
There was a GEDA design. There's a bunch of KiCad designs, and there was a bunch of Altium designs. And that's just because that's what people were using. We made templates for all the different ones, so you can get going really fast. It would export like a template schematic, and then you can add your design, and everything was ready to go. And that was I think Grant made the first one for Grant.
He did the UART, the little UART mezzanine.
He also made the first version of the template.
Yeah.
We modified it to add the high-speed expansion connector and made sure that everything was good. And we tested it. We made some different mezzanine boards to try it out. And it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of people I met. It was just an awesome experience.
So Mike, now you're at Samsung. And I believe you wanted to give a little disclaimer real quick.
Oh, right. So I do work for Samsung now. My embedded consultancy, it closed when I started at Samsung, and pretty much anything that I say here is my opinion and not the opinion of Samsung or affiliates. I work on the community stuff on time, so they allow that to, as long as it doesn't disrupt my work, I can go out and I can help people do open hardware, firmware hacks. I do a lot of that in the dev. I go around and I help people, when I can. And
I noticed you in the Hack Pack server recently. You've been showing off some pretty cool stuff. I think there's some Hack Pack folks in here. Mike, I want to jump to the icebreaker round. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I don't know if you remember this, but like I've been doing live streams for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize, but I was poking around for you. You were actually a visitor in the second ever live stream that I did. Whoa, where is it? Oh no, did I shut it down? Let me find it real quick. Don't worry. I'm going to get to it real quick. Playlists. I'm gonna find it. It's okay. Playlists, open hours. So I started doing these 8 years ago. I got to go down to episode 2. This was. I don't even know if you remember. I tried seeing if you were in episode 1, but you weren't, as far as I could tell. But you were right here in the second episode. Check this out. Did I hit next?
I'm always making trouble in these streams.
No, that was part 1. Here you go. Wait, what the heck? No.
That's episode 119.
I know. I hit a button. There, this one right here. There he is. What's up? Hey.
Hey, I look the same.
You kind of do, actually. That's why it's hard when you tell me how old you are. I can't even tell. Yeah. But there's Mike right there chilling. And then you came back 2 years later, and then you were actually a guest on the show. We were talking about what was the name of Ron Justin's company? It was
Group Gets.
Group Gets. Is that still around?
Yeah, they're still around. Awesome.
Yeah, Group Gets is a crowdsourcing company, but that was focused around hardware, right? So like you could go get your designs and you could actually go crowdsource funding for those designs before it was even, built, right? So you'd post that up.
Yeah, they wanted a fully functioning prototype before you even got like in the door. But otherwise, yeah, they were like my partner for a lot of different hardware campaigns that I did, like Low5, which was a RISC-V based microcontroller. It was my first successful crowdfunding campaign. I think it was my first successful crowdfunding campaign. It was a RISC-V microcontroller board based on the FE310G002. It was the first RISC-V microcontroller publicly available, used on the Hi-5 one, the original Arduino one. I made a teensy sized one, and I got to meet quite a few people by doing that. And I actually got to go to the Sci-5 headquarters where it used to be when I was in San Francisco.
Derpiest mic face.
And yeah, that's me. That's how I look.
Okay, we're gonna share that in the devEco real quick. Where's the chat? There you go. Okay. Perfect. So Mike, there was a lot of cool things that happened. And I feel like this era was one of the most fun eras, at least of my career. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's getting more awesome and more awesome, but like, this was definitely like a cornerstone to my career. I loved it.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a pretty long one. I talked about supply chain and other
path to product. And that's actually what we're going to talk about today, right? We're going to be talking about path to product, but using an actual tool throughout the design process, establishing your path to product and or your BOM, et cetera, making sure that you have the components available to you. So let's stop sharing this now, Mike. I'd like to transition into the main segment. We're going to be talking about Autodesk Fusion and the Avnet app. Right off the bat, I just have to throw it out there. We're going to be a little brutal here, right? Like, as in like, Michael's going to actually do a run through. He's going to boot it up and he's going to literally go through the Avnet app, Autodesk Fusion pairing. Now this is why it gets confusing for me. Just saying this is a little confusing because the Avnet app doesn't feel to me like an app. It's like a plugin. Cause like I literally went and tried to download the Avnet app. And then because it was called an app, I just assumed that it would have everything there. And so like I double clicked it, it installed it, and then I'm like, okay, let me go find the app. Like, where's the app? But it wasn't an app. And it turns out that there are dependencies and you need to actually have Autodesk Fusion. And I guess like if I was a CAD guy or a CAD person, maybe I would have already known that, but like that did not click in my head immediately. Right. And then Michael comes on in the green room. Is like, no, you had to download Autodesk Fusion. I'm like, okay, well, so already for me, like wanting to go explore this, it was a little difficult out the door, out the gate. But so Mike, let's talk about this first. Before Autodesk Fusion, before the Avnet app or plugin, whatever we want to call it, what does, let me pull up my actual question so I don't butcher this. What does your kind of like regular workflow look like? So like what tools do you usually use? What does your typical hardware design to prototype process look like right now?
So yeah, typically for commercial products, I'll use Altium. At least that's what I did before I stopped contracting. Altium is used widely in the industry, and you're expected pretty much to use it. And I was on a kind of a borrowed license a lot of the time because it's very expensive. It's not as bad as say Cadence or something like that, but it is more than your average Joe can just afford, like without saving for it. It's like $10,000 or something for a license. And so that was my typical flow. I would go through and I would design in Altium, and then you take the customer specs, you come up with block diagram, draw the schematic, while sourcing, like you're searching for parts that fit the bill. Then you create the PCB design and route it. So you take the components and place them and route them on the design. And then once the design is routed, fully ready to go, everything, the mechanicals are done, all the checks, ERCs, DRCs are done. You export the Gerbers, which are the kind of the lingua franca of PCB design or PCB fabrication. And you can take those files and you go off to whomever you want to do your PCB fab with. A lot of times you have to tailor your design rollers to the board house, and you have to kind of you got to know what they can and can't do, and you set the design rules as such.
How excruciating, I'm sorry, I want to just interrupt that part of the process. Like you now have your Gerber, you've chosen your components already at this point. Like you know what your passive and active components are on there, like if you have a little USB type A, plug in there. So like, or port, how do you go about checking the availability and life cycle of these components? Like, do you just have to go one by one? And when you say you have to go check the manufacturer or the design house that you're working with, do you need to like literally go check one by one? Like,
you got to go to their specs. So for the part sourcing, what I would do is I had like kind of my wheelhouse of vendors, and Avnet was kind of like not my first choice usually. At work or when I'm doing stuff like in the industries, a lot of times I ended up working with Arrow, and they had a lot of preferential pricing and other things.
So this is a good thing to note here. So there are like a lot of design houses out there, right? And you just mentioned Arrow, there's Advantech, there's Avnet. But so like, let me like the top 3 reasons. Like, what do you look for? Is it just pricing? I mean, like,
well, there's more to it than that, right? It's the ease of use of their interface. So like DigiKey, they used to have a really simple. I used to use it a lot because you could search their parts. It was fast and reliable, and they had a lot of stock. It was good. Everything was good. And there were other vendors why I would use them because of vendor relations, like Arrow or Avnet, where they had parts that were either more readily available with them, or it was on their line card as more they were pushing it. Like say you wanted a specific SoC. Sometimes you can only get that from a specific vendor, and so you have to kind of form the vendor relationship there. So like FPGAs, I think Avnet does a lot of that. So you might end up working with Avnet to do an FPGA design, but there are always alternate sources for passives and random connectors, various glue logic
Yeah.
applies. There's a lot of different things you can do there, but when it comes to specific SoCs, you're kind of stuck with vendors that actually provide them, and depends on their line card, depends on a lot of things. And what I end up doing is when I have a BOM ready, I would go and I put it up into a service like Find Chips or something like that.
Like what?
Find Chips.
Find
So
chips.
yeah, it's a parts search. It's like a global parts search. I can't remember the names of the other ones. There's a couple different ones that are used in the industry.
Give me a chip name.
Like the AM 3358.
AM 3358. That's
That's a
3350.
TI part. SoC.
I mean, let's see if it didn't come. Oh, AM 3358. Okay.
Yeah.
So here you go. Arrow vertical work.
ARM SoC. It's actually the core that's used on the BeagleBone.
Gotcha. And so these are all the sources you can get them
And
from.
you can see there's DigiKey, there's Newark, there's Arrow. All the
Can you sort by price?
I think that they only show like the quantity pricing. You have to click on the links to go to the website to get a little bit better.
This is smart though. Look, you can see Arrow actually has this sponsored here to show up on top.
Yeah, well,
So
yeah,
did
and different
Verical.
Yeah, I think Verical is part.
Yeah, it says an Arrow company. That's interesting though. I mean, like you can actually see the different prices here. I mean,
But yeah,
throughout.
you don't see Avnet on this list, do you?
That's true, actually. No, I mean this is why we're talking to you, right? I mean, like this is very valuable information. So I mean, like, and you can also see the quantity. I mean, look, Newark has a ton.
Yeah,
but I think. Actually, you know what? Newark is an Avnet company.
Avnet company.
They are here. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
no, but
you don't. Most people don't probably know that right away. They'd have to click on it and see, but you'll see the pricing is pretty good with them, and they have a bunch of different variations.
Okay. So Sean says Octopart is another one.
Yes, that's the one. Sorry, my brain wasn't working. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, and then it looks like I would upload my CAD bombs to find chips for my open source stuff, so it makes it easier for people to order who want to recreate the projects. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually that was one of the reasons I used Find Chips. I was gifted a license for open source usage at Open Hardware Summit. I think it was a long time ago, but I still have that license, so I can post the BOM for, say, like the Low 5 or Ice 5 wireless or one of my open hardware projects, and you can go there and see the analytics for yourself. And a lot of some of the board manufacturers actually have this kind of integration in house. Like there was you could import the KiCad files, and it would go search the vendors for the parts, and it would do the all the different sourcing that you needed to do. It was, I think it was Circuit Hub was the one that did.
That sounds really familiar.
The Circuit Hub was I think we used one time way back. I used it for some quick protos, and it's really nice, kind of turnkey operation. The pricing, of course, it's not going to be anything like what you get from JLC or other places like that, which also have these kind of services now. It just, things progress, and people are asking for it. I use this CAD software. Can I upload this CAD software package instead of the Gerber files? And then, Osh Park, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, but so that actually to be the person who designs this thing, you've put all these components in there. It sounds quite miserable to have to go every resistor, every capacitor, every freaking thing that you have on that board, everything, to go and get every single piece priced out and then track that. That's why, like, I feel like, sorry, were you leading on to say, like, can you just like upload this thing into like one of their systems and then they'll tell you, they'll put the BOM, like,
well, yeah, it guides you through the process. So like if I uploaded the BOM and it said like a 1K0603, you can actually go down and search the vendors through the interface and assign a part. And this can happen dynamically. Say the part changes over time, or say you have to switch over to a different vendor because of one EOL, but you have a part that's compatible, you can just swap it in. And that's kind of, I think, what Avnet's trying to do with the utility is like finding compatible crosses, dealing with part sourcing issues, which are going to happen like a lot.
We have a question. We have a question from Tyeth. So, as I would like to let's keep that right there, Mike, because as far as I can tell, we've reached the point to where this Autodesk Fusion Avnet app will get us to, right? Like then you have to get it printed out, get it sent to you, test it out, maybe an iteration or two. But we've gotten to that point, right? Like as far as Autodesk Fusion will take us in your design cycle.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a question from Tyeth here. He says, have you tried any LLM tools, Michael? Like Flux AI can be asked for suitable parts. Also, it weekly emails you BOM pricing changes. Yeah, actually, I'm surprised that no AI was mentioned yet, Michael. But maybe this is like a thing that's maybe up and coming in terms of...
Everything has to have an AI tie-in these days. So I have not personally. I am not a big AI consumer. Although I work, with a company that does a lot of AI stuff. I mostly, I kind of just work through it myself and find the solutions. But I think AI could present some pretty nice opportunities in this space because you can send off like an agent to do a lot of what I'm doing manually, especially parts related stuff. And I wouldn't say that it's necessary, but it might be nice if you had an agent to go and say do some things for you. I know that there are some like Fluxes. It does the layout and routing for you as well, if I remember correctly. I've never tried it. Sorry, but we could have another PROCEPTION where we give it a shot. Essentially,
let's do that. Yes. I think we should dive into this, Mike. Let's dive into Autodesk Fusion. So I'm going to share some links here with everyone real quick. For those of you who would like to go explore on your own as well. Actually, Mike, this is what we're going to do first, right? We're going to watch the video.
Yes.
Okay. So there's a video that was released, and it is a video kind of showcasing what Autodesk Fusion is and what it's all about. And we're going to watch it. It is 1 minute and 36 seconds. I should be able to share audio in this as well. So we're kind of just going to chill for a second. Let me get this shared screen up. And this is kind of like the expectations that one would go into when starting Autodesk Fusion Avnet app for the first time. So I got to share Chrome tab. I think this is walkthrough. Here we go. Now, I believe this should be good enough here. Let me make this a little bigger like that. Okay. So I'm going to hit play. Oh, let me make sure. Actually, I'm going to say it one more time. Make sure I got the audio shared in there as well. Share audio. Perfect. Okay. All right. Me and Mike going to just chill for a second. Mike, if you want to mute your mic for a second while we watch this.
Definitely.
Discover Avnet's new plugin for Autodesk Fusion, bringing supply chain logistics and ordering into the home of your design workflow. Fusion is a powerful engine for designing electronics, including 3D parts like enclosures and mechanisms and PCBs, integrating your ECAD with MCAD so you never need to leave the environment. Streamline your process further with Avnet's first-of-its-kind plugin. Import vetted reference designs, including power supplies, LED drivers, and specialized modules such as this one featuring AMD Zinc and microchip technology. Optimize your BOM in tandem with your PCB design process using our cost and availability tool, which enables you to quote parts for multiple order quantities at once, compare prices and lead times, find and select alternatives based on your specific constraints, Update your design and order parts in just a few clicks. Plus, join communities where you can learn, publish your own open source projects and tutorials, enter contests, and connect with other hardware developers. Avnet and Autodesk are bringing component sourcing directly into your design tool where it belongs.
All right, Mike. So do you think you'll be able to do that in 1 minute and 36 seconds?
And welcome everyone to our advanced.
You're muted, Mike. You're muted.
Webinar.
Oh, sorry about that.
You got a minute 36 seconds to do what Alex Glow did. By the way, that was Alex Glow, the wonderful Alex Glow's
my
voice.
screen, then let's do it.
Oh, here we go. All right, a minute 36 starting now.
Okay.
No, but for real. So if you could just walk us through the process, right? Like you went and downloaded it. Let me share the link so people know where.
Let me start from the top. So before you go doing anything, you'll have to install Windows or have Windows readily available. Most people are, they have this. They have Windows. That's one dependency. It should be a decent machine, and you should have a 3D accelerated graphics for nicer usability. Autodesk is a large package usually used for like MCAD. And it is quick prototyping for, production type, say like they got in the picture here, like you're designing a new gadget or widget and you want to come up with the mechanicals for it, or the PCB design for it. It has features for it. So when you go to first install it, there are a couple of options. So you can install it free, course, but then when it comes down to it, if you want to have it and use it for professional uses, you have to pay like a subscription for this for the software.
Could you zoom your screen in a little bit, please? Thanks.
Is that better? Okay.
Yeah.
And so like if you want to get it like that, these two are the same price, about $56 a month. For a subscription, and then if you do a monthly a la carte or whatever, it's $85. So it's definitely not a cheap proposition. It's more than your average streaming service. So it definitely you want this thing.
This is a good question though. Heavy Falcon asks, like, mentioning all these prices, like, what is it? You can use like DaVinci for like video editing for free if you're a hobbyist or a student.
Right.
Like, is this geared toward businesses or hobbyists?
This is for like if you want to use it for commercial uses.
Okay.
And if there is a hobbyist license. I tried to install it, but it did not work. It stalled on me. So I went and I installed the 30-day trial. So I'm running on the 30-day trial.
Okay.
So if you look through the website here, just go to Autodesk and look for Fusion, and then you can download it. And you don't need to do this licensing. You can do a 30-day trial, and you can try the different things. Like a lot of times, you're doing mechanical stuff with this thing, but they kind of took on Eagle. Autodesk bought Eagle, and coming up next year, they're going to actually they're going to close the licenses for Eagle. Eagle is going to be no longer, and it's all going to be built into Fusion. So it's time to get used to it if you're an Eagle user or another CAD software.
Tyeth is bringing up something. He says hobbyists can use for free, renewed each year. It disallows some things, but those usually need extensions anyway. Also, pay as you go is expensive after 7 days per month.
Okay. Yeah. And I think a lot of people use this for doing the 3D print stuff or stuff for you want to do some CNC stuff. Anything where you need like a solid model. It's kind of what it's usually used for. But now we're doing PCB CAD alongside with it, and that allows you to kind of seamlessly connect the two So when you're done with it, you can co-design the PCB and the enclosure or other parts of the design. And if you have the appropriate models built into your PCB, then you can actually have an accurate model of your PCB, and you don't have to import or export anything. It's all right side by side. I can show you that in a minute. All right, and then once you got this guy installed, which is going to take a while, you go on to install the Avnet app, and this is a plugin for that, and it's really just kind of it provides extra features for the PCB design part of Autodesk. So this takes a while to install, but not too long. And you could probably post a link to this page here, Robert, so that people can to these two pages.
Yeah, I posted a link.
Okay, good. But
that was something that came up right away, right, Mike? So like this is available for Windows and Mac, but was there a Linux option?
No, there is no Linux support for Autodesk. You can, at least you used to be able to run it in Wine. I did a little bit of background checking because I wanted to stick to Linux, but apparently that support is kind of not there anymore. And this is something that Autodesk should really consider. You know, there are Linux users out there that are still wanting to do this kind of CAD work, and they don't want to like go back and forth to Windows. Some of them won't even, like, they wouldn't dare install Windows on their machine, so they're going to have to run it in a virtual machine, which is going to make things difficult and slow a lot of the time. So it's not going to be a nice user experience. But yeah, I just went over to my Windows partition that I use and I keep because of CAD programs. Actually, a lot of times they are only available on Windows, and that's just because that's where the industry started. It's like they're just there. All right, the Mac support came along because there's a lot more Macs out there than people that are running Linux. Windows and Mac are like a big market share on personal computers, whereas Linux.
I mean, it's also big in business, right? Like Windows is like dominates business, Mac dominates business.
Right.
So like,
yeah, and then like government agencies, all sorts of things. There's a lot of tie-ins. You know what I mean? So, but yeah. So I went through. I installed this, and eventually I came up with this is what
it looks like when you first boot, right? You open up Fusion. This is what you get.
Yeah, well, not quite, because there are different like views. This is the electrical engineering view. So if you select the electrical engineering view, then you will see something like this.
Okay.
After you install the plugin, you'll see these Avnet tools that appear. So those are, yay, we got some new features that we can use. And I can show you a few things. So like, in order to kind of have something on the screen, I made a very basic demo design with a Raspberry Pico W and some LEDs, and I put the Hackster logo on there.
Oh, cool.
So it looks like the Hackster logo. All right, and so I just put in like there's a switch here, there's a bunch of LEDs, and then it load so this view right here is like a common view, which is kind of nice to see the different everything all together in one. And whoa, what is it doing? All right, there. Now it's loading this the schematic design. So this is typically where you drop your components in, wire it up, and it's pretty much like your other CAD programs. You have your icons up here for basic things, all the things you'd imagine. It takes a little while to get used to the bindings on this, and the scrolling is it's not super intuitive sometimes. Like I can't do side scrolling.
Like with the shift, like you hold shift.
Yeah, holding shift and wheel button does not do.
That's like standard. Holding alt, holding control.
I found out that you have to press the scroll button down and drag.
Oh, interesting. That's like kind of using the hand button or the hand
Yeah. This
grab.
every CAD program's got to do it different, and I think that this particular thing, I'm used to just pressing shift and scrolling and zooming with the scroll wheel, but you have to grab a hold of it with the scroll button. Scroll buttons. All right, and when you first come in, you're not going to have a lot of libraries in there. So there are a number of libraries that are provided with Fusion, and you can go in and select them. There's a library management thing over here, and you can go in and look at the public libraries. And I installed, the cool Adafruit. So far, all the ones that were Fusion were automatically installed, so they're basic parts like generic.
Oh, there's
ones.
BeagleBone there. BeagleBone Blue.
Yeah, and these are Eagle, because Eagle was kind of an acquisition by Fusion. I'm guessing they're pulling in all the designs in preparation for closing out Eagle, essentially. But so you can go into libraries, you can see kind of a sample of what's in there, and if you want to say use an Amphenol micro match connector, you can click on this. You can see the different things that there are there, and there's a lot of connectors. It's kind of a hodgepodge of things, and I installed various ones, just kind of looking through. And this is really depending on what you're trying to do. So, like if you wanted, say, put in a microcontroller from Infineon, for instance, you could click this library and see what they have. They don't have your part. I haven't gone through the process of making my own library components yet. I've been just using what's available. But I'm assuming it's going to be like any other CAD program. There's a separate window that you pop up and you draw the symbol, and then you do the same for the footprint, and then you associate the parts and the 3D model. If you can find one, you can associate a 3D model or create a 3D model, since you have this fancy 3D modeling software in the background. So yeah, this is pretty standard.
Okay, so Mike, I want to kind of pause you right here, right? Because at this point, you've basically enabled yourself to access the components that you need to start building out your schematic for whatever piece of hardware you're designing, right? At this point?
Yeah.
So the question now, because I'm going to kind of interrupt you through this process here every now and then, but first impressions, trying the app. I mean, you've used other apps, you've used other CAD designing apps. So what's your first impression so far? And where does the Avnet app or plugin come into play here?
So right, up till now is mostly just standard stuff, right? There are all the symbols I grabbed it's all Fusion stuff. I just grabbed it from the public libraries. But there is this Avnet tab here that's added that allows you to kind of go, and I can show you these here in a second. This is where the Avnet support is. You go to the Avnet toolbar up here on the top, and then you can go and look at the different things. So before I do that, I guess my feel for it so far is it's functional. It's maybe a little frustrating at times to navigate the interface. I have hotkey bindings in my brain from other CAD software. So like if I want to press PT or whatever and draw a track, it's not that anymore, and I have to go. I
mean, Heavy Falcon does bring up possibly that you can, change the key bindings
instead.
I'd imagine,
which may or may not be the Eagle binding. I don't know the Eagle bindings, but it would be good to have alternate bindings, which would apply to different CAD packages that other people may have used in the past. This is a nicety.
Yeah, but Heavy Falcon, you can probably change key bindings. I mean, I'm not positive, right? But you could probably change key bindings. It's annoying, but you could probably do it.
Maybe. It depends on the software. I haven't dug into it too much, but I know that it can be painful. And so you got the typical things. Here's your route. So you can press R. I really don't like how this kind of clusters the main window interface. This is the properties of the route that you're about to place. Say if you had a big screen, this wouldn't be a problem, but that is kind of annoying. So like I want to route this trace here to, I don't know, this trace over here. It's like, it's pretty straightforward. Not too complicated, and placing components, all pretty straightforward. I usually just find it over here in the libraries, and then I double click on it. Which into the
so Mike, so far, like
it's pretty. What you see is you get pretty straightforward. There are times when I get frustrated, and I find.
So
myself,
Mike, I need to interrupt. I want to interrupt you for a second, right? Because we only have like 15 minutes left, so I want to make sure we like cover some of these questions. So far, you are expert level in hardware engineer, right? I mean, like you have intermediate and the beginner, right? Like me going out, I'd be like super beginner, right? But like 3 things or one thing, if you were to kind of like say, what is this one thing that is the barrier to entry for even people at your level? Like you booted this up, you went through this process. Now you're at a stage where you can start popping things in and building out your circuit. But like, are there any true barriers to entry, or did it still feel like it worked?
Like for the schematic, for most parts, I was able to navigate it with relative ease. So this part, I found it okay. The PCB side, I found it cumbersome, to say the least, when I overlapped components on the bottom side of the board. So like, say I had this switch here, and I put it inside of here, right? And now it won't let me select that part. And it's super annoying, because I can't get a hold of the part without dragging this out of the way. And
so there's no like right click, move to the bottom, right click, move to top kind of thing. Like
I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't figured that out yet. I remember I just installed this like on the weekend.
Yeah.
So
no, but
that's super annoying. And you can't cycle click. Cycle click doesn't work. That's something they do in like other CADs. So I found myself when I was putting this logo on here, like swearing a lot, because you can't grab a hold of it anymore because the other chips or the parts in the way, and it tries to be smart and route things sometimes, which
I see.
Probably shouldn't. There's probably a button to stop it from doing that.
But something so simple, that's something that should be so simple that is making you frustrated.
Extremely frustrated at times.
Yeah. So
there's got to be a way to do it. It's just not obvious. And this is out to Fusion. Maybe their tutorials cover this, but
yeah. So Mike,
that's on the bottom. This is on the bottom side of the board. I should be able to easily grab a hold of this while I'm on the top layer and move it out of there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So Micah, there's a comment here from Vladimir who's in the YouTube chat. He's saying, with 30 years on Eagle, all other CAD software is strange to me. Smiley face. Now this makes me want to ask this question. So I went and looked up real quick, like what are the most used CAD design software for hardware engineers or for building, hardware, and AutoCAD comes into the mix. Like AutoCAD is one of those big ones, I'm guessing, like AutoCAD, and it looks like SolidWorks is another big one. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm sure, KiCad is a huge one as well. But so if you
those are mechanical CAD though.
Okay. So then what is the most used to you? What would you say is the most used?
Altium.
Altium. Okay. So Altium. Now, if you have people like just what like Vladimir come post here in the chat, he says 30 years on Eagle. How could Autodesk Fusion with the Avnet App differentiate themselves from someone who's been using Eagle? And this is where I need to go, because we have 11 minutes, but we need to kind of like have a couple minutes. We have like 9 minutes. We need to talk about the BOM optimization and tracking lifecycle. Can we get to that like kind of journey? Can we pave our way to that part of the journey?
I talked about my frustrations, and that was one of the big ones. And there are other things. The UI, it always takes time to get used to it. So let's go ahead and let's go dig into these Avnet tools. So the big one is this design library. Now, what this does is it pops up a window here that is Avnet connected window here, And then it provides a large number of designs. I'd like to open this up a little bit. It's kind of hard to use otherwise. Let's see if I can just get it to open, maybe. And the one thing that is a little cumbersome about this is it covers your main window and until you're done using it. Searching it is not really parametric, or is not filter. It's not very easy to use, but say I want a battery charger. All right, and then what this does is it provides a number of reference designs, and it looks like we have a lot. Zinc is a FPGA ultra scale, so I wouldn't probably want to do that on my my little trinket board here. But say we have something else down here further in the selections. Let's look. Okay, and I don't know if I can zoom in so you guys can see this. Nope. So all right, what do we have here?
You got an error.
Does it?
You got an error too there on the bottom right. What's that error say?
DRC violation. That's probably because I was dragging things around on the PCB. So okay, here's a lithium ion battery charger for space limited. Sounds great. Sounds perfect. One cell lithium polymer. Bingo. So let's try it. Download. Active schematic.
And this would be right here, Mike. This is what we're talking about. This is one of the key differentiators of this app.
Yes.
And this is okay.
And there are things like this in other CAD packages, but this is very Avnet specific.
Okay.
And Fusion specific. So the parts are going to, of course, they're going to be parts that Avnet supplies. And it looks like they're looking for net naming. I guess those are okay. Just telling you some things about what it's about to import. So now it did something to my schematic. Let's go take a look there. And presto, we have a design element or block that was added to our schematic. Looks like it is using legacy Eagle footprints, maybe. As far as I can tell, this one is very straightforward. It doesn't have a whole lot going on. We got a battery charger circuit, V-charge, which would connect to your battery terminal, and VDD. I'd have to look at the data sheet for it, but this is so like I would connect that. I would find out how if it's possible to connect it to this guy, which I'm assuming I can probably use the VSys or VBus and do that. So that'll tell you, okay, I have this. I can do these reference designs. I can pull them in, save a bunch of time, maybe. And of course, one thing I noticed about this software is the PCB side is automatically synchronized. So any components that are added in the schematic are automatically going to show up over here, which is different than some CAD programs. A lot of times you have to press like an import button or whatever, and then it will have the components come across and either here or there. It's fine. This is fine. So we can take that design, we can read the design notes on it. I'm sure there's something about it in the library. Let's see. Of course, it snapped back to the corner.
I want like explain your thought process here. Like what this is. Okay, well, so I guess maybe let me get another one of these questions out here. So because we only have a few more minutes.
Sure.
Okay, so I would like to know in your I'm trying to use PROCEPTION from your perspective. What would you say stood out the most in terms of the biggest strengths for this experience, the Autodesk Fusion Avnet app experience for you?
Well, it's obviously it's fairly straightforward, right? And you could search fairly easily, grab a design, put in your schematic. You saw how easy it was.
Yeah.
I guess what kind of missing is in between. So like, how do I connect this to the rest of my circuit? How do I determine the charge setting? There's no equation here, so I have to go into the schematic, or the schematic. I find the part number. I go to the data sheet. I find the equation in the data sheet. Why isn't the data sheet here somewhere?
Does this present the need to bounce between other platforms, or could you still stay within this platform? We're getting buzzes. Like, or are you still capable of staying within this platform?
You're
I guess the
gonna
question is like,
you're gonna have to go out to a web browser to find this. I don't think there might be links, but I'm not seeing them right away. You're gonna have to go out. You're gonna take this part number here, and you're gonna have to go search, Google it, and find the part. I think if this works, there is a way to do it. Let's try the other feature, part search.
Well, so this is actually perfect for this last question here, Mike. I think this is going to be my last one. We'll see. So
Sure.
If you could send a feature request, like literally to the team right now, I don't know if it was just 1, 2, or 3 feature requests, what would those feature requests be?
I think a big one is somehow making this so it doesn't dock right over the top of my active window area would be nice.
Okay.
Like, see, maybe I can drag it over there. Oh, look at that.
Oh, there you go. So it's kind of like, OBS. Nice.
Yeah.
So now it becomes
Now where did it go?
it's probably a tab.
There it is. Okay. So that's fine. So that was resolved. But all right. So let's search for this part number. MCP 73.
I still want a feature request from Mike. We got about 1.5 more minutes, Mike, and then I got to close this out. All right. We can do it if you have time. We can go do an after hours in the Hackster Discord server if you're interested.
I mean, for me, it's okay. So this is one thing we might want to look at for Avnet. You see how long this is taking?
Yeah, to load. That's
the
attention span of. We don't have that attention span anymore.
No, I mean it might take longer than we have time left.
Yeah.
So I hope it doesn't. I did a basic search on the part number.
Sean,
there it is.
Sean is saying one-click Fab House export buttons. I don't understand that. Do you understand that, Mike?
Well, it may. I think that would be under.
Oh, that's the thing you send to the Fab House, right? That's the thing that you would send to Avnet.
Right. So if I wanted to bomb, I could just click this here. I think this is probably what this tool is for, and it's going to ask me some basic questions like how many prototypes.
Oh, and then Tyeth is saying, we're like running out of time. Tyeth is saying, look for the Ultra Librarian plugin. Maybe that does data sheets too, but mainly adds loads of manufacturers, parts, models, and footprints.
Yeah. So like this here tells me some information about the part. Here we are. So we've got a data sheet from the excellent. So then we'd go down and we'd search. And we'd find the equation for tailoring the current. It's got to be here somewhere. Here we go. So we would say, oh, I want to bump up my charge current to 500 milliamps or whatever is capable of. And that way we can charge faster. We can do that with this equation. But I guess adding the equation here wouldn't hurt. They're all like, every example is probably going to be slightly different and it's going to have notes, but the more notes for the engineer, the better. And that'll make like searching for the data sheet and finding the equation and tailoring these resistors a little faster. So that's one. So it looks like none of the parts, it says that none of the parts are matched, even though I dropped this from their library. So
Mike, my friend, brother, I'm so sorry. We have to call it. Like, I mean, this is like, there's too much, right? Like this is, I mean, I really would look forward to seeing more. However, we have to respect the time of the viewers.
Sure.
We have to respect your time. And I mean, if you're down, you want to go hang out
for 20 minutes.
Okay, so let me boot up a voice channel in the devEco. I'm not in the devEco, in the Hackster Discord server. Shameless plug. If you guys want to go join the Discord server with Hackster, it's discord.gg/Hackster.io. That's the Discord server. We're going to boot up a voice channel in there in just a moment. Mike and I will go in there and we will hang out and kind of like maybe poke through this a little bit more since he's already got it up and running. Mike, shameless plug real quick before I end this.
For me?
Yeah, anything.
I'm not sending services anymore. I am gainfully employed. So,
what about supporting a hardware initiative or something?
devEco.
devEco. Oh, you were plugging devEco?
Yeah.
All right. I did not tell him to do that. I was like, devEco. Woo. All right. So same thing. You can join them by the portal network within Hackster Discord server. So it's all connected anyways. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you. We appreciate you spending this hour with us. I mean, you could have done anything. What were you doing? Hanging out here. We appreciate it. We appreciate it though. Next month we will have another PROCEPTION. Stay tuned. Make sure you follow Hackster.io on LinkedIn. Make sure you go to Hackster.io, create that account, share your projects, join the community. Great program with the Hackster Pro program. You can check that out. Go join the Discord server. We're going to hang out in there for a little bit more. And thank you. All right. Take care. Bye, Mike. Bye, everyone. Let's see. End live stream.